if you're not getting caviar wholesale, you're wasting money.
Hello and welcome to episode number 81 of Unrelenting, and it's on the 18th, so there's a lot of 1s and 8s going on today. The 8th month. It's the 18th day. It's the 81st show.
Wow. Holy cow. That is quite the repetitive kind of phenomenon.
It's numerology. Catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And spoilers up front, we do have a show donation, and it's not from Dale Down Under, so it's an interesting day.
Wow.
Digiguru says,
listen to our show.
I guess. Digiguru says, Sir Gene's on the big mic. Are you referring to the former first lady? No, Gene's he's on a different big mic.
Uh-huh.
Different big mic.
Former first ladies.
So former first lady / gentleman, right? Wouldn't it be the former first gentleman then if you believe that one?
Yeah.
People believe weird conspiracy theories.
Hey, man. Women have penises too, apparently.
Well, in this brand new world order, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the guy, and I forget his name, but the NBA player that spoke out too much about stuff, and he doesn't have a job right now. He's like, should I put on a wig and go play in the WNBA?
Probably should.
Yeah, you'd make some money, man. You'd dominate.
Hey, don't even need a wig.
That's true.
Don't even need to shave.
Yeah.
Don't even need to shave.
You just have to say you identify. That's the whole new world order, is if you say you identify as it, people have to believe you.
And to really sell it, you should probably put a dress on.
Would that be better for the WNBA? Should they actually play in dresses?
I think so, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there are probably more transsexuals wearing dresses than women.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the alleged symbol of the feminine dress.
So what would it mean for a dude to, tell people that he's a lady if he doesn't look it?
Well, dude looks like a lady. That the dress is what sells it.
Nice. You caught that, did you?
Yeah, dude looks like a lady, man.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the older Steven Tyler gets...
Play the bootleg.
Uh-huh. The older Steven Tyler gets, though, he does look like a lady, so it's a little weird.
Steven Tyler's always looked like a lady.
Uh-huh.
Even when he was young.
Except not a cute lady, but like a lady.
Oh, and he screamed like one, too.
Yeah. He got the lungs.
Yeah, but he had a decent-looking kid.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen her recently. She
looks old. She looks like she's our age.
Well, she probably is our age. Well, she's not quite.
She's a little bit younger than us. We're pushing over 120, but she's not quite there. But she doesn't look like the way that she did in the Hobbit movie.
Oh, yeah. And she was one of those that was going to be the next big thing, was around for, it seems like 4 or 5 years and then disappeared.
Yeah, or days.
Maybe.
Pretty much.
And there's a reason.
Pretty much.
That's because it's a very superficial society back then where it mattered what you looked like. Now, no, we're above that, right?
Now it matters who you support.
Uh-huh. Although the OnlyFans, I bet you the women that make the most money on OnlyFans, and I'm sure there are guys, so don't yell people, but mostly women. I'm sure it's because of who they support.
It's women that are attractive and guys that look like women.
There you go.
I mean, in the end, we all know who's funding OnlyFans, and it ain't the women.
This is true. Guys are the ones that are like, okay. I mean, hence strip clubs. If you go back and look at that.
That's all it is. It is a virtual strip club. It's a strip club where you don't even have to leave your house.
Which is way safer.
I mean, not for your cholesterol and risk of heart attack, probably.
I don't know. You'd be eating wings or something if you were out. Or you never know what you're
eating wings right now.
You're never going to consume what you're going to get in the champagne room. No, should I be eating wings while I'm doing the show in the morning? That wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, not this show. But when you're on OnlyFans, you probably should be, yeah.
Really? That's like, oh, yeah, baby. Can you eat that Hot Pocket just a little bit slower for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was considering this. in the AI.
What, getting on OnlyFans?
Yeah, and eating Hot Pockets very slowly.
Oh, yeah. And you know what would be hilarious is if while you're doing that, you said, "Da bears."
Da bears.
And then had a heart attack.
See, now that would be great theater once. They're like, wait, that's not a bit?
It's only theater if it happens more than once.
Right. Wait, are those really EMTs we're seeing coming into the room? Da bears.
Oh, man. You know, I miss the good old days.
You mean when comedy was comedy?
Heart attacks, yeah.
When that was funny.
It was funny. Damn it. Tell the folks what we're referring to.
When you could poke fun at yourself, and that was an SNL bit, right? That was, It wasn't SCTV or anything. It was SNL.
SNL. Yep.
When it would be the Chicago fans back in the Ditka days.
John Candy.
Back in the day. And John Goodman did that as well. I think he was on some of there were a few characters that came and went through that little group of guys with the big mustache on.
Yeah.
Just sitting around eating the most unhealthy food in the world.
Yeah. It's, drinking beer and eating like
copious amounts of beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going, da bears.
And like eating sausages with cheese on top.
Right. Because, if you're going to get a big Polish sausage,
you got to put the cheese whiz on top.
Yeah, you got to cover it with cheese whiz and whatever unhealthy stuff you can throw on top of it. And then you go, da bears.
Yeah. Saturday Night Live's had quite a few funny fat dudes that have died.
Well, and there's not a question that there's a reason, those things were connected.
We all know the reason. It's cocaine.
Well, yeah, cocaine and overweight does not mix.
No, it really, I stay away from that shit, man.
You could just lose the weight.
I stay away from the coke these days. No.
But I was thinking about
it'll get you to lose the weight. All right. It'll start with your heart and work its way down.
Yeah. That's about what, 12 pounds. What's a heart weigh?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've got a big heart. I love everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
But this whole concept of the AI with the image creation where you can create people out of nowhere. And the fact that we're getting now to the point where it's not just photo generation, the video generation, which I have not played around with any of these, but I've read a few articles that the technology is zooming forward at a pace which tells me it will be here in a pretty good way within the next year or two. And I'm thinking, does anybody not care about the porn stars? Because they're going to be the first ones to lose their jobs. Because why do you want to watch ugly people fucking?
Yeah.
When you can create your own. It's going to be,
there is like a category for people that like to watch ugly people fucking as well.
Well, you can still create that. And that's going to be the whole thing. It'll be like, you're going to log on and it'll be like, describe who you want to see fucking. And
I mean, let's put it this way. There's already way too much tentacle porn out there.
See, I'm not even familiar with what that is, so I'm glad.
No, it's a Japanese, particularly niche kind of thing.
Japanese are sickos.
Them and the Germans, they have peculiar tastes in certain things, like starting wars.
Oh, I see.
Incidentally, somebody pointed this out to me the other day, which is, I thought, is you realize that we are now the Axis powers.
Being the United States with who, though?
Well, the Axis being Germany and Japan, who are currently fighting Russia. Yes, and the United States seems to be on that side.
I have that old board game, Axis and Allies. It was great if you didn't mind the 14 hours of setup. It was one of those. It was a great concept because everybody, you're in the age range that I'm guessing at some point in your childhood you played the game Risk.
Sure. Well, I didn't play Risk. I won the game Risk.
You probably still do. And there's a lot of people that played Risk that were like, oh, this is just way too basic. This isn't, I want like tanks and I want to be able to and then I want to be able to do all this. And that's what Axis and Allies was. And the minute you start to play, you're like, wow, this is way too complicated.
Okay, so got it. So it was a dice game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a dice game, but it was one of these where you could buy, you were, depending on which of the territories you had and everything else, you had a certain budget, whether you would put that into, aircraft or tanks
Guns or butter. Yeah.
So you had to figure out how you were going to take over the world.
Yeah.
Now you just have to send a lot of money to Ukraine.
What's funny, exactly. Last time I played a game very similar to that was about a week ago.
Which game was that? A new one or a classic?
Let me pull it up. It's recent. It's not brand new. It was called Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign.
I have not heard of this, but I'm guessing this is a computer game if you're pulling it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a computer game, but in a very high level, it's a similar concept to what you just described. Now, there's also Stellaris, which I'm sure some people have heard of, which has been around for many years. And Stellaris is a space version of that. It's essentially a board game-esque type game on the computer. But instead of being set in like medieval Europe, it's set in outer space and you're expanding into other solar systems. But it's all the same intrigue and, outsmarting your opponents through creative like bribing them on the one hand and then stealing their secrets like on the other hand, and then pretending like you're neutral on the third hand. And it's basically a game of China except in space.
That sounds interesting. And the beauty of the games, if they're very complicated, those dice games with all of the charts, computers make those so much more fun because you just get the result.
Dude, EVE Online, which is a game I've played many years ago, over a decade ago. In fact, I stopped playing it over a decade ago. I used to play it in the 2000s. And I recently rejoined because it's still running and all my shit is still there. It's amazing.
That's wild.
But yeah. I'm not going to play it because it's a big time suck. But their big announcement while I had rejoined in the last couple of months was that they had finally partnered with Microsoft and Excel to be able to feed in the game data directly into Excel.
So they're finally like, we're finally out of beta.
Well, everybody always jokingly referred to that game as the game of spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of calculations that are helpful to do if you actually do them. And of course, most people are using either Google spreadsheets or Excel. And they literally just have a direct connection to Excel now. So Microsoft at a Microsoft event was showing off the connectivity to EVE. It's crazy, man. It's like you're using business tools to play a game.
C. Brooklyn sums up this show in one word: nerds. Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate at a time.
Well, that's who owns the world at this point. So yeah.
I was always amazed.
Yeah, me and Elon. Yep, exactly. Nerds.
You and Elon you both live in the same general area.
We actually live right next to each other, technically.
Do you jump over the fence and see what's going on over there?
He's never home, dude.
Well, and the restraining order.
I check every day.
You're like, Elon, never home. What up? You just
where's my truck, Elon? Where's my goddamn truck that I paid for like 4.5 years ago?
Gene bought a trampoline just so he could jump over the 18-foot fence and be like, Elon, you home?
Uh-huh.
I can see that. You accidentally get his food delivery. He accidentally gets yours. Hilarity ensues.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
You become best friends.
That's right.
You're like, can you hook me up with some gear?
Yeah.
Some free samples. But I was always intrigued how they did with those dice games, with the simulations, especially there were a bunch of them that were baseball simulations. And it started from the most simplistic.
I vaguely recall those, yeah.
Which had a spinning wheel on it that you just, flicked the thing and wherever it landed, it was a number from 1 to 10. And then they went to the cards with the dice, which, as you know, with the whatever you can get up to, 20-sided dice, you can do some crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun, but it took forever. Now they're all online, so you could just go in and and replay those games, and the computer just figures out, rather than like, oh, I rolled a 157. That means this. Oh no, that means funny play. Go grab this chart. Oh no, throw 2 dice. Okay, here's what happened. I mean, at the time, I mean, when you're, before high school, that was kind of fun. Now you're just like, let's just play the game. Come on. I want to get to the good stuff. No foreplay.
Well, there are still, it's actually, I think the board games made a comeback because a lot of the late millennials and the early Zoomers do game night, like on board games,
right,
which is bizarre to me because it's so much more convenient to do it on the computer.
You're like, yeah, let somebody else, and I have to go to your house, and then you're going to eat my chips if you come here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're going to be playing a video game, sorry, I keep saying video game because the word game doesn't seem to exist in my world without the word video in front of it. But if you're playing a game like Monopoly, you can play online even. All the classic board games have been transitioned by their copyright holders to online.
Right. Well, I remember it was a big thing when Monopoly first came with electronic dice.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah,
and do that.
It was just like a button you pressed and it gave you a number between 2 and 12, which was like,
oh my gosh.
Like, how fucking lazy do you have to be if you can't even roll the dice? Although, to be fair, 90% of the people you play Monopoly with, when they roll the dice, they knock every piece off the board with every roll.
What is up with that?
I don't know.
How many times have you been like damn close to winning and somebody accidentally knocks the whole damn board over and you're like, well, okay, I guess we're done.
I guess the game's over. Yeah, I remember a kid doing that in a, maybe it was either a checkers or a chess tournament back in like grade school. It's amazing when you know you're going to lose.
Chess tournament?
Yeah. You play chess?
Used to.
I haven't played in a long time, but it was always a lot of fun.
No.
A game of skill.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it wasn't fun as a kid, but it was fun like in college. It was definitely fun.
You can drink and play chess at the same time.
Yeah. I played a lot of chess in college instead of going to classes.
Really? That was what you were doing while skipping class was playing chess? We had different experiences. I skipped a lot of class, but never to play chess.
Yeah, well, see? Who's the bigger nerd, goddammit?
You, no doubt. Because I was either going down to Tower Records to look for music.
Well, that's a shocker.
I know. Or I was going,
man, I can't. Here's Darren at Tower Records in 1989. Man, I can't wait till Taylor Swift gets born.
Well, right, that year, exactly. 1989, I was in college.
What? Why do you think I said that? Come on.
I mean, you're right on.
I'm like magic.
There were a bunch of other little record stores in the Lincoln Park area where DePaul University was. Rose Records downtown. Oh, that place was a mecca. But we would, a couple buddies in class, we would usually wind up going downtown to Hooters, which was relatively new back then in the late 80s. Or we would just grab a basketball.
It wasn't that new back then, I didn't think.
In Chicago, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah.
They put a Hooters in the Mall of America in 1988, 87 or 88.
Somewhere around there.
And the Mall of America is kind of like a family establishment, but they had Hooters.
Well, yeah, because Hooters is a family restaurant.
Well, it kind of is. But back when you were a teenager, it seemed kind of risque.
You like girls in shorts. I like this.
Yeah.
I could eat here all the time.
Horrible food.
Well, yeah. There was, to be fair, I believe there was a time the food was decent.
Really?
And it kind of went downhill. Maybe, again, within the first few years of when they were open. And the wings were at least decent. And I remember, getting a decent ham and cheese because there was a Hooters
cheese
about 5 minutes away from the Circuit City that I worked at, also in college.
When I moved to Texas, I discovered that Texas has a bunch of restaurants and they're all way better than Hooters.
Well, there've been a lot and they don't have a lot of them here. There was a Twin Peaks, never went to it. It closed. There was a Tilted Kilt. I think that closed. I think a lot of people went, boobs and food. We could do that.
Yeah, we could totally pull that off.
And then they didn't.
Yeah, the Tilted Kilt. We don't have those here, I don't think. I've been to one of those in Arizona. In fact, I had an employee take me out to one of those, and I was kind of like, really? This is where you're picking for us to go?
You're like, you're fired.
Huh. Yeah, I did fire him eventually. But
all right, he was probably a bad tipper.
No, he's a nice guy. He just didn't really, he talked the talk. But here there was Third Base. There's a really good barbecue place. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. We don't have that in Austin. Austin, I think I've talked about this, has an anti-chain policy where they don't grant food permits to a lot of chains.
And that's kind of good.
All kinds of rules. Well, it used to be back when they were the Keep Austin Weird crowd. Now, I think that what they're mostly doing is giving the wives of tech company executives a chance to run an expensive, overpriced, not particularly tasty restaurants.
Right. You don't want competition.
I have an opinion on this, but the chains are very few and far apart here. Even Starbucks aren't that close. You might be like 5 miles apart for Starbucks. Whereas when I was living in Dallas, it was like chain city. It was the prototypical Starbucks on two different corners of the same intersection. Well,
when people travel, a lot of them are just too afraid to go into something that they don't know. You want to just be like, well, I know what Applebee's is, so I'll go in there.
Right.
So I get the concept behind it. But we have the internet now, so do a little research and find the good places.
I found, you'll be excited about this. Ooh. I found my current favorite taqueria recently. And I don't eat Mexican food.
I thought you liked Tex-Mex, just not Mexican straight out.
I do like Tex-Mex. I just don't like Mexican. But this is a genuine Mexican place. And all they make is tacos. And I thought, what the hell? I'll give it a shot here. And I was really pleasantly surprised. And it's freaking cheap. I mean, it's probably like, what did I pay? Like maybe $3 a taco.
Not bad. You can get some very elevated tacos. I mean, it's hard to screw up a basic steak.
It's not elevated, but it's interesting and unusual flavors. Like I had one of the tacos I had was sort of a chicken cilantro with pineapple thing.
Nice.
I'm told it's traditional Mexican. And then the other one was some kind of like buffalo chicken looking chicken that tasted nothing like buffalo chicken. And these tacos were probably 65% meat and 35%, or I guess 45% like veggies, which normally if you go to a taco place, it's like 80% veggies and 20% meat.
Yeah, where's the beef?
Yeah. So they're very generous with that, with the proteins, because that's my, I'm trying to eat a lot more protein, less carbs these days. Well, who am I kidding? Always, my whole life. And this place was actually quite tasty, enough that I even like, I had a couple of tacos left over in the fridge the next day. And as soon as I got up, I'm like, where are those tacos? Give me them tacos.
Breakfast tacos. It's a good taco.
Tacos. Yeah. Which there are a lot of breakfast taco specific places here that do like, bacon and egg tacos and stuff.
Yeah. Everybody wants to do like the breakfast quesadillas and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But no, I'm like, I'll have to hang on to that one. Maybe it's certainly not every week, but if I need tacos, that's where I'm getting them, because it ain't one of those chain damn restaurants. This is clearly a food truck thing I'm describing. It's not an actual sit down place.
So you have to chase it. You get actually much healthier because you have to chase the truck down the street.
Well, no, I pay an Uber guy to do that.
You always have to have a guy. I don't know. You
gotta have a guy. How do you not have a guy?
I mean, on Wednesday, I heard from the fabulous Ryan Bemrose that he was out of coffee because his coffee girl only roasts twice a month. So I'm like, wait, you've got a coffee girl. Gene's got a sushi guy. I'm like, I need more guys and girls. I don't know. I just go to the fucking grocery store and get what I need. I mean, not me personally. I said my wife. Let's be fair about it.
Exactly.
I click a few buttons on the internet and then the shit's there for her to pick up.
Exactly.
I mean, I am basically a hermit. I don't like to leave the house.
Yeah. I mean, I think COVID created a lot of people that didn't realize that they were hermits until they tried it and liked it.
I was like that way before COVID, though. So there's that. I was a trendsetter. Okay.
I definitely was a lot more apt to be doing outdoorsy shit before COVID. Shit, dude. I probably, let's say in 2017, 18, thereabouts, I was either on my boat or jet ski or, doing something water related or going fishing down in the Gulf.
Well, now I understand why you're poor. You had boats and jet skis.
I am poor.
Because you've had boats and jet skis. Those
I
things.
have. I had to sell all this crap during COVID because I wasn't making any money. It sucks.
Now go buy a new boat.
It's a pain in the ass to have a boat.
I mean, I know that it was what's his name from Amazon that bought your old one, Bezos, but he said it was just a little too big for him.
Yeah, he totally reworked it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't like that guy.
No. Wait, you don't like bald people?
I don't care if they're bald. I mean, I'm going in that direction.
With one weird size eyeball?
Yeah, well, I've got that now. I didn't until more recent in life, but now I do. So I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you have somebody like stick equipment in your eye 5 times, then there are slight issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't blame Bezos for the weird eye thing.
There's, I mean, it's a look, it's a particular kind of look thing.
The Reverend Dr. Pfeiffer says the 2 best days in a man's life are the day he buys a boat.
Yes.
And the day he sells the boat.
That's very correct. I will attest to that. I was so damn happy getting that boat, and I was so damn happy selling that boat.
Why are you sending me artistic renderings of yourself?
Look at the eyes.
Oh, it's the Bezos eye. I get it now. It was behind the microphone because I've got the big RE20 and this. Yeah, yes. So you're on that screen behind the mic. I'm like, oh, but that's some nice color there. I mean, the beard only partially being gray is nice, and we need to update that to fully being gray now.
That's true. That is a photo back from 7 years ago.
Time flies.
Yes, my head is no longer quite as blue.
Was it actually that blue then? I thought that was maybe an effect that was put on.
Well, it may have been. I can't remember anymore.
But that is where the AI stuff, it is the porn industry. If we can go back to that for a minute, that is where, because they're still going to, for a while, we're going to still want real, put that in air quotes, actors and actresses in, serious, again, put that in air quotes, movies.
Yeah, nobody wants that. We just want stuff that looks good. And I can guarantee you the directors want somebody that listens to them. And the producers want somebody that doesn't cost $1 million.
Yeah, but all the directors are going to be fired too, because soon it's just going to be somebody that knows how to use the computer. Well, somebody trained on the AI.
So, yes, but much like the current AI, you have to be versed in the correct vocabulary to create pretty things.
This is true.
Anybody can create art with AI, but only people that have the right vocabulary can create beautiful art.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing with that and figuring it out. And I've run across a couple of sites because I have not tried my my foray into Midjourney yet. So I'm still just playing with Stable Diffusion and other things like that, which you can still get really good results on.
Old news shit.
I know, but there are different models. There's now the 1.0, the latest model of Stable Diffusion, definitely a little better. And there's a site I've been using, Tensor.art. Which if anybody wants, an invite thing, you can get those. Although I don't think you really need one. That you can play with all sorts of different models. It's a community where they allow people to upload their models. So everybody that's working on their own little weird thing can upload it, and it's there for you to play around with. But that is where being able to just go in and describe what you want. You're right. I think this is eventually going to show up in regular television and movies.
Yeah, I think it totally will. You want the new SDXL Stable Diffusion, which you can install at home.
Yeah, that's what I've been using on this site.
Oh, you have? You've been using the XL one?
Yes. Okay. That is on tensor.art, which, again, the realism of what this stuff pops out is wild.
Yeah, it is really good. And I need to buy a new video card, unfortunately, though.
Right. Well, so this is why you have to send me your old one, because I need a better one.
Yeah, whatever. I'm going to be multiplexing.
Oh, come on.
Get your own damn cards.
Send me some big video cards, Gene. Come on, man. Come on, Uncle Gene. Send me some video cards. I like people when it's like one, I guess they didn't hear the last episode where you said you got your payment from this show, from me.
I did, yes.
Because they're like, oh, it's elder abuse. I'm like, how old do they think Gene is?
Yeah. Yeah. Darren's like older than me, so I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah, I'm like 70 now.
Yeah. And I'm just 112.
Uh-huh. It's like, it's elder abuse.
It's elder abuse. The only thing is it's still not quite easy enough to install for the average person. Like, the script was broken when I tried to install it, and I had to deconstruct it and then do it manually. But, you know, I think within a year, it'll literally be an app that you get and you run, and it just works.
They're getting closer to that because people
right
are
now,
already putting
there's
scripts
too many
together.
Scripts and Python stuff, and
but there are people that are putting together the script that does everything automatically. But yes, there are still multiple points where it could possibly fail.
And you got to run the refiner, and it's just there's too many command line shit things to do right now.
Well, that's why when you're at the forefront, it takes the people that understand that, which is why I understand why the directors might be like, "Oh, this is
the directors ain't going to do this shit."
But it's hilarious that the writers are going to be replaced by AI. The actors,
they already have. That's it. The writers are not going off the strike because they're unnecessary.
Yeah, the AI is like, we could do this, no problem.
AI writes better scripts than most of our writers in Hollywood.
Well, and let's be honest, if we still have the actors and actresses involved, which I think we are for a while, good actors and actresses elevate their parts by bringing ad-libbing, doing things that wasn't exactly in the script.
Yeah, and AI can do that 10 times better.
Well, an AI can do it.
You can create 10 versions at the same time and pick the one that you like the most.
Well, yeah, but AI can give you a basic script, and then the actors and actresses can refine it with their performance. So, I mean, it's not like it's got to be everything perfect. You look at what constitutes entertainment today, and it's like...
I think, honestly, the sooner the better for this stuff, because for whatever stupid reason, people have built up people in the entertainment world, and this includes actors, actresses, singers, songwriters. We're below that. And all professional sports people. These are all entertainers. They are completely unnecessary for society other than to provide enjoyment. And they are way, 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 way all overpaid for what their contribution to society is. And so the sooner we get rid of all of them, the better we're going to be, because then we can focus on important things like computer and science and developing new tools, and the nerds will rule the world.
Listen to the science.
Hey, that's right.
Did you see the behind the scenes for the movie War Games? It popped up on my YouTube, so I'm assuming maybe it popped up on yours.
It had not. No. The behind the scenes of the original movie from, what is it, 82?
Yes. I think it was 82, 83, right around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this might have just been the extras on one of the DVD releases.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my mind completely blown. I mean, I guess there was some turmoil that the guys that wrote it, there was an original director that started filming for like a week or so, and
really,
that fired the writers. They were too hard to work with, and then the The studio, which I guess was very rare at the time, was like, yeah, we're going to have to fire the director. Uber Troll says 83. And
okay, well, that's what I said too.
The most interesting thing for me was this was not originally conceived as a movie about nuclear war. It wasn't conceived about a movie that had anything to do with computers. Their original starting point was, Stephen Hawking. They were intrigued by Stephen Hawking, and they decided they wanted to write a movie about a young genius finding his way, interacting with an old genius. That was the whole concept. And they're like, well, how could this maybe come about?
That's not the movie that was made.
I know. I mean, you do get the Professor Falcon, but it's a little bit, I think, later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But what really blew my mind was the original thought when David Lightman, played by Matthew Broderick, gets to the island to find Professor Falcon. The original idea was for him to see one of those like high-fangled at the time wheelchairs out at the end of a pier with a guy fishing, and he walks up to the wheelchair, and then you get the reveal of who Professor Falcon is. John Lennon was who they wanted to play that role.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, these writers really were smoking a lot of weed, weren't they?
I know. I'm like, but can you imagine how much that would have changed that movie? I can't even imagine. I mean, no pun intended with imagine. But I can't even
I see where you want there.
Yeah.
Well, there was a movie that was more of that script, which I thought was a wonderful movie, which was Real Genius.
Right. Val Kilmer.
I think 85, mid 80s. And that movie, I think in a lot of ways, like made it not just okay, but like a cool thing to be a nerd.
Right.
Because the nerds were winning.
Well, and this was so new. You don't think about it watching it now.
And Val Kilmer was really good in that.
But even going back to War Games, people did not, as a rule, have personal computers. Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy, who were both in the this behind the scenes, were like, well, we've never seen a personal computer before. Yeah, Ali Sheedy. Yeah.
Ooh.
And she really still didn't look bad. You know, I don't know how long ago this was filmed, but even older, she didn't look bad.
The last movie I saw with her, or like recent thing, was probably a decade ago. And she obviously looks a lot older, but she doesn't look bad.
Some age better than others.
Yeah. So now, from what I've heard on the old net there, she's batshit crazy.
Well, I mean, you got Britney Spears, you got, there's a lot of women that are batshit crazy.
I like Britney.
There's a lot of guys that are batshit crazy too, to be fair.
In a different league.
Well, it goes to the Barney Stinson, hot and crazy scale.
Yeah. And Barney wasn't the guy who invented it, but yes.
Of course not.
But yeah, there's, then you got your unicorns. Yes.
The hotter you are, the crazier you can be.
It's, it was a thing. Her, and then who's the other chick that's crazy by reputation is the Blade Runner chick. Something Young. Sean Young. Is that right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I've never heard she was crazy, but I mean, I'm not disagreeing.
Dude, she got kicked out of Hollywood for being crazy.
Well, that's a whole new level of crazy.
Yeah, no, she's got a reputation to where effectively, she actually lives here in Austin. She's
is she your other neighbor? You got Elon on one side.
She is one of my buddies' friend. Actually, her husband is, but her husband's like a carpenter, I think.
Nothing wrong with that. People need wood, baby.
No, yeah, it's. But that's the thing is, ideally, actors and other entertainers, like you can pay them double, triple a average person's salary, right? They could be making $400,000 a year, but they shouldn't be making $40 million a year. That is insane for something that is literally pretending to be somebody else. Or for having a genetic predisposition to bouncing a ball. Frickin' insane.
Well, I understand both sides of this one being Michael Jordan, which is a good, I think, example because
genetics.
He's made more money than I think God.
Yeah, and I look in the way that the current system is built, I certainly don't fault people for leveraging their talents and genetics and perseverance. Frankly, it's not like this shit happens in the vacuum. They all train. Actors, musicians, athletes, etc. But
yes, they hone their craft.
The system should not be like this. The most revered people should not be frickin' musicians. That is crazy.
You want them to be computer programmers?
Yes, and the computer programs should be the ones that are entertaining people.
We are all in a simulation.
Well,
so think about
a lot
that,
of people that would say, my neighbors would say that.
If we're all living in a simulation, then the computers created Taylor Swift.
Yeah, as an experiment.
Yeah,
to see just
what an experiment
is. Yeah. Taylor Swift is popular, but objectively speaking, her skill set isn't very high.
As a singer, I would agree.
Yes.
As a songwriter, I think she is in the top 10% probably of pop songwriters of all time.
Which means there are literally tens of thousands that are better than her.
Well, there's a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to put people above, the Paul McCartneys of the world. I wouldn't
just say that about her. I would say that about all these guys, like certainly Britney and everybody else that's made millions off of their music. They're not at the pinnacle of their craft. They're at the pinnacle of marketability.
Right. And that's the bastardization of all of this stuff. The minimum salary, I believe, in Major League Baseball at this point is closing in on $750,000.
Oh, I thought they were over. Really? They're still under.
I think they are.
Okay.
But it wasn't that long ago. It was 400 and something thousand.
Yeah.
So I think it's.
And how much did Babe Ruth get paid?
Almost nothing. I mean, going back, you heard those stories from guys. I mean, I did, from guys that played for the White Sox back in the 50s and 60s, that they had to have a winter job because the salary wasn't enough. So this is a more current thing to make that kind of money, but I don't mind.
Yeah. Okay, I just looked it up. He actually was making good money in 1919.
Yeah,
in 1919, he was making $20,000 a year,
which for then was pretty damn good.
Yeah, like 20,000 back then is probably about $2 million right now.
But I don't mind the top players making the money. It is the equity bullshit of the guy nobody knows, nobody ever heard of, that plays once a week. That's making $1 million a year because we need equity. It's like, no, pay because it is entertainment. So if you're the New York Yankees and you're like, well, without Aaron Judge, we sell 30,000 tickets to every game. With Aaron Judge, we sell 50,000 tickets to every game.
Yeah,
I get it.
That's the entertainment industry is an example of unbridled capitalism. It is literally give fans what they want, because that's the way that we make more money, is by giving them what they want.
It is now 720,000 is the league minimum. Back in 2003, it was 300,000, which was still pretty damn good.
Hey, by 1930, so 21 years later, holy shit, Babe Ruth was getting paid $80,000.
It's good work if you can get it still.
I mean, that's a lot of money back in the day when I think the average salary for a guy was $50 a week.
Yeah. And I'm sure there was side money because, again, you go to the car dealership, you say hi to a few people, you get paid for a lot of stuff. You have your own, candy bar. There you go. The Reggie bar, man, back in 77. I bet you ate a few Reggie bars, man. They were good.
No, I preferred Charleston Chew.
Oh, a discerning candy eater.
It's just physically bigger sized.
Oh, okay. Jesus, like, give me more chocolate.
Uh-huh.
I get it.
All right. Now I'm curious what the Negro Baseball League paid.
Probably nowhere near.
Well, obviously, but I'm curious how much it actually was.
I'm just glad.
Because that's where Jackie Robinson came out of.
Of course. And the great Minnie Minoso.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
$100 a month.
You're like, well, that's fine. That's fine.
Literally at the same time that the Bambino was getting
better players.
Yeah. 20,000 a year. These guys were getting 100 a week.
They were
100 a month.
And they were getting the crowd. So, they were just being taken advantage of.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody
you ever
knew.
Been to the museum?
I have not. That's one place City? I would love to go.
Yeah.
Especially now that they've got the Buck O'Neil statue up, man. I like the O'Neills.
Yeah, I know you like the O'Neills. The Kansas City has some really cool sort of how do we phrase it? Some African American related stuff. So they've got the Negro Baseball League Hall of Fame. They've got some really great old jazz places that literally have been around for 100 years and have just a tremendous amount of history there. They actually have, at least I don't know if they still do. Back, I remember going maybe 15, 20 years ago, there was several really cool soul food restaurants out there that essentially, still make stuff the old fashioned way with a lot of lard.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
The magic ingredient is always lard.
Exactly. So it is it's a neat city. I always like Kansas City. I think it's one of the more underrated cities in the U.S.
Well, I hear they have good barbecue, so that's good.
My favorite. I'm not even saying the best anymore because people instantly start arguing, but I will say it is my favorite of all the barbecue styles.
How dare you pick them? Now, don't you know in Texas? Don't you know in Tennessee? I know, don't you know? And
it's like you can find good barbecue in Texas, but Texas really specializes in brisket, and I like the ribs from Kansas City.
Well, you can find some good ribs here in Chicago.
You can find good ribs in most places, but when you go to Kansas City, there's a bunch of places with really exceptional ribs.
Now, the main difference is probably in Kansas City doesn't have the same collateral problem that we have in Chicago, which is to get the better ribs. Oh. Right. You have to go into an area where you're much more likely to get shot.
Actually, you do. Kansas City has the same issue.
Same issue. It's like the best
you're looking
ribs.
For that little shack where you see the smoke coming out and you smell it way before you see the building, and the parking lot has 4 spaces.
And you're like, this is what I want. This is the good stuff. This is the
place. Yeah, this is definitely the good thing. Yeah, dude. And then after you get out of there, you go into the barbershop where you're the only white dude.
And they're like, what the hell happened to your beard?
And they're like, wow, that's an amazing beard. Can I touch it? I think I've told this before too. Black women in particular really consistently like touching my beard.
That's weird.
It's a thing. I first I was like, oh, that's weird. But then I realized, no, this is like a cultural thing or something, because most black guys don't have beards, but the ones that do have beards are like 100 years old, like me. And so I think I have that kind of, old Uncle Remus style kind of vibe going. And I've had black women from college age to my age say, that is a really pretty beard. Can I touch it?
Like, is it real?
It's a magic beard. See, they want to touch the magic beard.
You want to pull on the beard,
see
if it's really attached.
Yeah.
Just think about how much barbecue sauce will get into that.
Can
beard.
I touch those?
That does not work as well for some reason.
I don't know. They usually say yes.
Like, okay, it's only fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's totally fair. I'm all about equity.
I mean, that would have to be the answer. If a woman comes up to you and says, "Hey, can I touch your beard?" You're just like, "Can I touch your tits?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Because then it's like, if she says no, it's like, well, you were just asking for something very personal. Why?
Yeah.
Why not?
I totally don't care if they touch my beard, though. That's
or
the
your
thing.
tits.
It's like, I wouldn't be, well, no, I'd care more about that. But
they're like, what are these? A full C now? Come on.
Yeah.
Cut down on the ice cream, Gene.
Oh, man. I do not eat ice cream these days. That is on the list of foods. Don't have a whole lot of protein.
Oh, no more coffee ice cream?
No.
I tried to order again, because that's how I do my shopping is on the internet by pressing a few buttons.
I'm going to do that in about 10 minutes, I think.
The Meijer here was once again doing their 7 for $7, and the little Haagen-Dazs were on that. Oh,
those are great.
So I tried to order 7 of the coffee, and they didn't have it, so I got the caramel one instead.
They had no coffee at all?
No. I was like, fuck! Because the last time I had gotten the coffee.
That's a very popular flavor for them.
They probably sell out. Because, I mean, I don't know. We're still... And I
think I first discovered, sorry to interrupt you there. I think I first discovered coffee Haagen-Dazs in like 1979.
And how many have you eaten since?
I would. Well, let's see. How much do I weigh now?
Yeah, we divide by. So we got a remainder here. You carry that a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's.
But I've noticed they're back to a lot of stuff is not fully in stock at the grocery store, which is still weird to me. Nobody's really explaining this. I'm not seeing any articles.
Worse. Yeah.
Nobody's like, well, here's why you can't get your Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream. I know, first world problems. But it's weird. It's like, well, why isn't there enough supply?
Yeah, what's up with that? Where's all the coffee ice cream? And it's only got 5 ingredients. That is one thing I've always liked about that ice cream, even though there's plenty of sugar in it. But it literally is the most, I don't want to say healthy, but it's the most natural of ice creams. It doesn't have any filler. It doesn't have any artificial crap. It doesn't have guar gum in it. It doesn't have anything that every other ice cream has. It is literally 5 ingredients. And that is milk, eggs, cream, sugar, and coffee. That's it. That's the entirety of its ingredient list.
The less ingredients, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true of most things.
Well, yeah, because otherwise the chemicals, when you start having things in the packaging in the creation of whatever you're eating that you can't describe or understand what it is or spell, it's like there's a lot of chemicals that go into this stuff. And I don't think that's a coincidence in why people have gotten way fatter than they were when we were kids. Because, again, we've talked about this. We had McDonald's and KFC back then.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So the junk food stuff was real, but
we also didn't eat there every day, except for that short period of time when I worked in McDonald's. But other than that, you didn't eat there every day.
They pay me in food.
They kind of did, because, when you're closing the restaurant, you either throw the leftovers that nobody bought away, or you take them home and stick them in your fridge.
Gene's like, oh, no, I made 5 extra McRibs.
And you're kidding, but that is literally what people did, because, back then, most of the workers in McDonald's were under 18, and the manager was probably like 24. It was a very young operated crowd. Right now, if I go to McDonald's, the average age is probably 40, and most of them are speaking Spanish.
You're right about that. That's a weird also.
That's because it became a job. It used to be kind of like where kids learn about what it means,
and it should
to work.
We should have jobs like that, but raising the minimum wage constantly made it so, no,
I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that when I worked there, I think I was getting paid like $3.15 an hour.
Damn.
Yeah.
So about what, 86, somewhere in there? 84?
It was in the 80s for sure. I did like what year would have been? It would have been, probably like 83, 84 ish.
Now people maybe want 15, $20 an hour minimum.
No, they want more than that. They want over 20 an hour.
Really? That's wow. Okay.
People consider 20 an hour to be minimum wage these days because it is in a lot of states. I mean, like I remember in Washington State a couple of years ago, so not even recently, but like during COVID in Washington State, there were hiring signs in McDonald's for $18 an hour, and they were low staffed. And I know because I went in there to buy some food and asked them about it, and they said, "Yeah, we can't get people. You know, everybody wants more money."
They're like, "You want a job?"
Yeah, right.
You're like, "No, I do
not with my beard." No.
Well, no. Can you imagine the grease fire? Oh my God!
There's only 2 times my beard's ever caught on fire, and it's not pleasant. And one of them was when I was lighting a cigar on my boat, and all of a sudden, wind,
right?
And my beard catches on fire, and my girlfriend's like, "Oh shit, what do you?" She doesn't know what to do.
Right. I was going to ask if you were entertaining, but
we're literally surrounded by water, right? I mean, how hard can it be here? Jesus Christ, we're standing on a boat, and
you're like, "I'm on fire."
The vision of and it was still a small flame, but a flame climbing up the beard closer to my face that I'm trying to pull away. But, pulling away a face that has a beard attached and the beard's on fire is doesn't really help the face. It was, in retrospect, a very comedic occurrence. But in the experience, it was not fun at all, one bit. And I think I did end up pouring.
You had to trim it?
No, I think she was holding a bottle of champagne, so I grabbed that out of her hands and then poured it on the beard and then put out the fire.
Oh, you're just lucky she wasn't holding a bottle of 151.
I know, right? Exactly. Something that would have made it burn even better.
Here, let me help, Gene.
Yeah. And then the only other time was when I was cooking and I hadn't put the beard away.
Wait. What does this mean? Put the beard away when you're cooking. What's the process?
You can't have the beard be exposed.
That I can understand. I understand hairnets when you're working at McDonald's. You put it over your hair.
Yeah, I have a photo. I've actually posted, I'm pretty sure, that photo to Nojan Social.
You look like a government agent that's going in to inspect some meat.
No, I was at home in my kitchen.
What are you wearing though? Where does the beard go?
A chef's jacket.
They just tuck it in?
It tucks in. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the nice thing about having long hair, having long beard, is that it doesn't really, you don't need a beard net. That isn't going to do jack shit for it, because the hair is over a foot long. It's actually capable of being tucked in with nothing loose sticking out.
You could tie it in a couple of pigtails, throw it over your shoulders.
I don't know about that, but I have only gotten it braided once, again, because it was a
black woman that asked you if she could braid your beard.
Well, no, lots of black women have asked me that. I hadn't trusted most of them, and some of them have asked for a lot of money. And I was like, oh, really? That much for braiding my beard? Really?
Are there professional beard braiders out there?
There are. Yeah, there are. But where I did get it braided was
I was at Rastafari Gene.
I was at a Renaissance fair with a chick, and she.
Well, wait, there's no other reason to be at a Renaissance fair. I know you don't agree with that, but that would be.
No, I like Ren fairs.
I know.
I've always enjoyed them.
Well, I guess there is meat. There's
big ample turkey legs.
Yes, ample amounts of meat and wenches.
There's a lot of soup. It's just a merry old time for everyone. And then plus I kind of, I enjoy being referred to as my lord by everybody,
No ego there at all. No.
Just big enough for one person. That's all the ego that's necessary.
Don't let it break out through to the other side.
And she was like, oh, it'd be so cool if you got your beard braided. I'm like, it's going to take a while. And she's like, all right, well, you can get your beard braided. I'll go shopping. I'm like, okay. So I did end up getting the beard braided, and it was in the kind of a Viking style.
So a very manly braid.
Or like a, Gimli style. I guess it depends on what you're more familiar with. But it was, I kind of liked it. The thing about it is, what you quickly realize is, when you braid hair, because it's going back and forth, the length essentially gets cut in half.
Yeah, it shortens.
Yeah, it shortens a lot. And so all of a sudden, my foot-long beard looked not nearly as good. And it was like, shit, it needs to be twice as long in real life to look braided the way that braided beards look on TV or in movies.
So then when people walk by you, were you like, shrinkage? Shrinkage.
Yes. I was George Costanza the whole time. Yes,
it's really much longer than this.
Yeah. It was cold. It was cold out.
Yeah, very cold. Shrinkage.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Beard Braiding Talk podcast. We're glad you're with us.
Yeah. Please send your contributions to
unrelenting.show.
There we go. Perfect.
It's where they should go.
Yeah. So it was worth doing. I have a couple of photos, but it's not something that it just shows you the fakeness of every time somebody has braided long hair in movies, it's a freaking wig or it's a fake beard, because literally to have a foot-long braid means you have 2 feet of hair.
Things you learn.
Roughly. Rough numbers. Yeah.
White Mike in the troll room says, I'm riveted.
It's a riveting conversation. I have to say so.
This is one of the best shows we've ever done.
Every show's the best show we've ever done.
It turns out, that is. It keeps rotating.
Uh-huh.
The best show here, the best show there. We are a value for value podcast. Well, like I said, we do have a few people to actually thank for today's show. So I guess before we get too far in and start running out of time, but the Boostergrams, of course, are always open. Once again, I think this may put him over the $1,000 level.
Oh my God. Now we owe him a steak dinner.
Yeah, Dale from Down Under, but he's got to get from Australia to the United States.
Dale, we will be cooking and serving your dinner next week. We'll see you here.
If you could be here, that's great. I saw a guy, there was some travel channel, an Australian guy that's like Fancy Traveler or something. And he did the Qantas 24-hour flight from Australia to London.
Oh, yeah.
In one of the front, the little first class.
The private first class cabin with the private shower, yes.
Uh-huh. I'm like, damn, that's nice.
What's his face did that? My other co-host.
Oh, dude named Ben.
Yeah. He did a flight from the U.S. to Europe, from Europe to Greece, from Greece to Qatar, and from Qatar back to the U.S.
So he makes his money outside of podcasting, because these flights were not cheap.
You notice we don't collect money for the podcast.
Well, because, why would you?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I hear that half the shows that you do collect money, people don't send you the money anyway.
That's true.
But Dale came in with the 103.48 once again.
God damn, Dale.
He says, I hope all is well and the house is getting sorted. Yeah, I talked to the carpet guy the other day. We're still getting a date set, although things are ready now. Everything's ready for the carpet. I would just like to get it in, so then we can start.
Have you thought about not putting carpet in, but doing like wood flooring?
Well, you don't want to do wood flooring where it floods.
Well, fake wood flooring.
Yeah, we did. I suggested that. That was poo-pooed for some reason.
The fake wood flooring looks great these days. I mean, it is. It looks very realistic.
Yes,
and luxury vinyl free for 20 years.
Yeah, the luxury vinyl is. It can look like wood. It can look like stone.
It's not even vinyl. No, they have better materials they make it out of, and it's got a ceramic coat on top, so you can't scratch the shit.
This is what you got all through the house?
No, I had that in a house I had in Minnesota.
It is beautiful stuff.
I did that in the kitchen.
Well, there's the laminate stuff. There's the. My whole family is in the. My dad was for years
the flooring industry.
Yeah, my brother-in-law that passed away was. My wife worked in the floor covering industry until she got the job with the local
and yet she wants carpet.
But I mean, the guy that's putting it in, I worked for. That was my last real job, was managing his store for a few years. So we're getting a good deal, I'm sure. Nobody's even given a price.
Yeah, you are good at getting good deals on things where you pay way less than the average person.
Although it's either going to be a really good deal or a really bad deal. It depends. Nobody's talked price yet.
It may be a good deal. It may be a bad carpet.
No, this deal. Is, and it's the one of the nicer Karastan carpets, which is hoity-toity, fancy, really nice carpet. But again, getting a good deal, because the guy that I work for, I mean, a lot of people don't know with the carpeting, if they make one of these, any carpet, it doesn't have to be the high end, but if they make a roll of carpet and they look at it and go, yeah, this is like a shade too light or a shade too dark from what the samples are.
Right.
We can't sell this as the full price stuff. So they sell it for like 10% of the normal cost.
Wow.
And the dealers just buy it up, and they can't, it's just like, hey, you could sell it once, because once that color is gone, it's gone, because it was kind of a miss.
So you better get some extra.
Yeah, you always got to get a little extra just in case you have to. And we had a bunch of it's funny because getting rid of the old carpet, there was a couple little rolls stashed in the basement. I'm like, well, we had this shit for like 15 years and nobody ever needed it.
Yep.
You never need it. If you do, you just then have to get it.
That is true. I like that.
But I do like the deal. Let's see here now.
But you can't do carpet down here. It's too goddamn hot.
Well, yeah, I can see you want to have the stone, or you want to have.
I guess it's tile. I don't think it's actual stone, but it's tile that looks like stone flooring.
Let's see. And he wants me to read this first paragraph in a Russian accent.
Which probably means you're going to do it in a CSB accent, but go ahead.
Isn't that Russian? Isn't CSB Russian? No, he's different.
Oh, CSB, did you hear that? He just called you Russian.
He's like, no, damn it. Why you say that? No, I am not Russian. Russian bad.
Exactly.
I have to, I kind of get my inner Vlad going. The Russian accent, it really just goes to Boris and Natasha. So it doesn't really
that's a classic American Russian accent.
You see, the U.S. paid $6 billion to Iran for 5 prisoners. Iran is supposed to be getting jets and hypersonic missiles from Russia. Maybe a payoff to stay quiet. Iran and Turkey have been used to get around sanctions before. All very true.
You could have said that in the CSB voice, and it would have made more sense.
Would it have?
Yeah, because he says shit like that.
Well, see, he's right most of the time.
Oh, is that how it goes? Okay.
Isn't he? I think. I mean, when has CSB been wrong? I mean,
he is right about Macs.
He does like the Mac. I'm still considering. Yeah. I'm considering. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, if you looked on the install code for the thingamajig, the whatchamacallit that we talked about.
The thingamajig, whatchamacallit we talked about.
What I'm talking about.
The install code.
Yeah, for the SDXL.
Oh, right.
Stable Diffusion.
Right, for the Stable Diffusion model.
That it has now an option for using the Mac processor.
Oh, the Mac Silicon.
Yeah.
It's quick.
It's super quick.
I don't maybe.
It's a thing.
It is the thing. I mean, I was just hoping that you were going to send me one of the M2 Pro units for Christmas. I thought that's usually what you do.
Is that what you were thinking? Wow.
Your podcasting co-host usually gets showered. I tell you.
I've only done that once, and I ain't doing it again.
Damn, come on, Gene. Love you long time.
Well, and Gitmo Slave was my co-host for about 9 months, I think.
Yeah, we've made it longer than that, Gene.
We have, and he got a Mac Mini.
How dare he?
For his birthday, yeah.
Dale continues. I was listening to an interview with Garrett Ziegler, who is with an outfit called Marco Polo. It's a .org, and on Twitter, it's repository of Biden documents. Apparently, Hunter was number 3 or something on Amtrak board under Bush Jr. Who knew? Well, that's not a surprise, these kids being on boards. The big news out this morning was there's a bunch of emails that have surfaced that show allegedly Joe Biden from his personal email sending government information to Hunter to help him with said businesses.
Wow.
That, if proven, that's big. That's really big. But Dale says,
do you think, though? I think it's just a slap on the wrist, big.
Well, with this DOJ, yeah. With an honest DOJ, be a little bit more. It'd be kind of like maybe Joe should be doing hard time, but I know he won't.
Did you see that the one of the evilest men in the world is pulling out of Europe?
No. Elon Musk?
Come on.
Who?
No, Soros.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's announced that they're pulling out of Europe. So I think they're getting ready for the fall of the collapse of Europe, complete collapse of Europe, which is imminent. And they're making sure that they stay in a country that'll have a softer landing.
I can see that. Wouldn't you think Bitcoin would be just skyrocketing up with all of this turmoil? No, it's not. It's going down.
26,000.
I know. I'm like, I should have dumped everything when it was at 30.
Overnight at 24.
Yeah. Is it time to get rid of it or time to hold on a little longer?
I'm keeping it forever. I don't really, whatever. I don't even pay attention to that shit.
Nice. Dale continues.
I've always said when a Bitcoin hits $1 million, then I'll start selling.
Oh, yeah. When Bitcoin hits $1 million, you're in good shape.
Yeah. He said my fraction of a Bitcoin isn't going to be worth shit until it's $1 million.
Yeah, I got like $35 now if it's worth $1 million. Woo!
Exactly.
There's also a YouTube channel, People's Pundit, Richard Barris, very solid independent pollster, quite dry.
Totally not. You're smoking crack.
Oh, boy. You're telling Dale he's smoking crack. Well, you can tell him.
Dale. You gotta Google this dude and get some other opinions. I do like the guy he does the show with.
Interesting. But he does say the show might appeal more to you or to the dude named Ben. So he might be the one person listening to the Good Old Boys podcast.
Oh, he might be though. Yeah, there's definitely at least one of those listening. But since we're a private podcast with no funding goals, we keep our stats private.
For reasons of anonymity.
Not really.
And no stats.
We don't bother logging in. That's the main reason.
You're like, we don't know who's listening. We don't want to know. It's the only podcast who tells you not to listen.
Well, okay, we don't go that far, but we do say don't send money because everybody needs their own money right now. Except for Dale. Dale, feel free to keep sending money.
Yeah, we love Dale.
Yeah, good dude. But yeah, so Barris, I don't dislike him, but the guy has been wrong more than he'll admit that he's been wrong. And he has a pretty big mouth when it comes to being, talking about himself. Now, his co-host is that lawyer guy. What's his name? Robert something.
Good old Bob.
It's the same guy that does the show with Viva Frey.
I don't know that.
Robert Barnes is the co-host of that show. So I've definitely watched it. I like Robert Barnes. He is a little bit also of a self-promoter, but he's also, he's also done cases in front of the Supreme Court. So he's got, I think, kind of a right to be doing some self-promotion. Plus, I like his background. And he was the guy that represented Wesley Snipes against the IRS.
Well, it's nice when you have people that have actual real world experience commenting on things.
Yeah. And I work with a lot of lawyers, and one of the characteristics that I look for, and this represents a minority of lawyers, is a desire to litigate.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a good beard.
No, most lawyers do everything they can to avoid litigation, because litigation is an opportunity to show them losing. Exactly.
Nobody wants to lose.
They don't want to go there. And so consequently, they, They will try and talk their clients into things that may not be optimal for the client, but it'll be a way to avoid litigation. So I actually look for a lawyer who says, yeah, this thing's rock solid. Let's go to court. And when you have that attitude, I think you tend to do better. Now, it's always statistics, so it varies. But I like a lawyer who's not afraid of going to trial.
Now, let me scratch off the idea of sue Gene for emotional distress for all of these shows. If you're not going to just settle, then I'm not gonna play around with that. Dale says,
settlements.
If you've not seen Master and Commander, Far Side of the World, worth the watch, not because Crow is in it, but it was beautifully shot. Anyway,
it is a great movie. I totally agree with that. It was a very beautifully done movie.
I don't remember if I've seen that one or not. I'll have to look it up. And then he says, I hear candidate cosmonaut comrade Serginov talk about lemon drink. Must have an upcoming weigh-in or perhaps a hot date? Maybe.
No, the lemon drinks, we've been talking about them. It's not just me. It's both of us for a long time, ever since I first introduced the concept to you. And you stuck to it longer than I did, frankly.
Yeah, I need to get another bag of lemon.
Mm-hmm. I've got one in the fridge, and I've got all the other ingredients, the cayenne pepper, the honey.
And here's the thing. There's a big difference between adding a lemon to your day and removing other food because you're drinking the lemon. I don't think either one of us is like, well, if I have the lemon, I can stop having lunch.
If you take the lemon and you make a smoothie the way that you like out of it with some ice, not just water, like good luck eating something immediately right after that. Like that's a meal right there.
And you can drop in.
You feel full.
Yeah, you can drop in a little bit of honey, like we said. You can even drop in the little tablets that I throw in the water when going on the bike, the little electrolyte thing. You could actually toss those in as well and have a nice, just sit there on the bike for an hour and just sip on that nice, cold, icy lemon drink.
An hour?
Yeah, I do an hour on the bike.
Oh my God, dude. You got to weigh like 10 pounds by now.
I wish.
How do you do an hour on the bike? Do you go like 5 miles an hour?
No, I mean, I don't go full out the whole time, but I don't go like I'm on a, lazy Sunday drive either. So that's where the YouTube comes in.
Lazy Sunday drive.
Yeah, that's where the YouTubes come in.
Quit talking about my recumbent bike, goddammit.
You need another one, man. But that's
I probably do.
I like the indoor recumbent bikes again because that way you don't have to leave the house. When it's like 95 degrees out, it's when it's nice, and we're Chicago, from living in the great north of Minnesota.
I want to get one of those electric indoor bikes.
What is the electric indoor bike do? Does it just
it's like an outdoor electric bike. It'll pedal for you, yeah.
Doesn't that ruin the idea of...
Well, no, because you're still on the bike and you're still watching YouTube.
This is true. I don't think you're getting any exercise. Do you have one of those things? What do they used to call them? The Vibromatics, where you just put the big belt around your stomach?
Yeah, those were awesome.
Which just
lost a lot of weight that way, Nat.
Vibrates the weight right off.
We had the Vibromatics, which were the big belts. And then we had that roller that looked like a bunch of rolling pins that you sit on.
Right.
and like rotates your ass away.
And no, White Mike, I'm not eating tacos while riding the bike.
Tacos.
But I mean, really, that's probably not a bad idea. I am a bit addicted to chorizo, so.
You like the chorizos, huh?
Yeah, I am a big fan of the chorizos. Dale also says, keep an eye on Cuba. Sir Gene could be a direct Russian market connection. Virgin thigh rolled cigars and rum, too.
What do you mean? Explain.
He thinks you got a guy, that you have a connection direct.
In Cuba?
Yeah.
I wish I did. I do not have a guy in Cuba.
I'm
the only one
or a gal
of my friends and family who has not gone to Cuba.
Really?
Everybody else I know, including my immediate family, has gone to Cuba.
The guy that did the framing of the Ted Williams prints we got for my dad and the one autographed Taylor Swift print we had, the Peter Max thing.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about going to Cuba, which he did very recently. And it's like, well, you have to get over the fact that the country is dirt poor and there are literally people dying on the street as you enjoy your great meal at whatever the Presidente Hotel.
That's not that bad. They're not dying on the street. They are damn poor and they look poor.
Yeah. Dying on the street may have been me just elevating the story.
I think so. Yeah, elevating the story. But as soon as we started talking about Cuba, this pop-up from Uber Eats came up for Cuba 512.
Oh, it's listening, man.
Cuban food you will enjoy eating.
Yeah.
El Cubano sandwich, ropa vieja, lechon asado. And they got they got bistec de pollo.
Ooh.
That's good stuff.
Well, that's what he was talking about at the whatever the big hotel is there. And I think it's maybe the Presidente. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
That
would be the El Presidente.
El Presidente. That, they're having lobster and they're having steaks and they're drinking the finest booze. And he's like, the bill comes and it's like $35. It's like, holy cow.
Oh my God. I remember those days.
Gene's like, let's go back to Cuba.
Fuck. No, I've never been to Cuba.
Well, that's all right.
Forget,
sorry.
I've never been to Cuba.
I mean, not officially.
Never.
Not on a black op or anything.
Never, ever been to Cuba.
Never even close.
No, nothing. I don't even know where it is.
It's just south of Miami.
Okay. So I was halfway to Cuba.
And then they turned you around? What?
No. So I was windsurfing out of Key West.
Oh, I think we did hear this story at one point.
We did hear the story. Yeah. And by the time I got quote unquote rescued, I was about halfway to Cuba.
They thought you were defecting?
Which that would be so ironic. That would be literally the first person that's coming from the U.S.
right
to Cuba.
You're the one guy going that way, and there's like 1,000 people going the other way. All these little
boats full of 3 people going the other way, and they see me going south.
Crazy gringo! Wrong way!
They're like, that's another CIA dude.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's the only people coming south to Cuba. But yeah, no, I got rescued. But I will tell you this: even though you're surrounded by water in the hot sun with no water with no salt to drink on you, and like no land that's visible because Key West has become a little dot in the horizon. It does make you wonder a little bit. But I've done stupid shit like that when I was, I told you about the time I swam in a between 2 islands where I was bleeding while I'm swimming and I forgot that there was sharks.
See, that's not something you should forget.
Well, no, I mean,
That's why you see when the people do this through shark-infested water, they're swimming in a huge cage and have 5 boats on either side.
Right. And I was doing the same thing, except without the cage and with the blood coming out of my foot.
You're like, I'm a badass. What could go wrong? Who needs an extra foot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to miss dinner. I'll tell you that much.
This is what it was all about, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to have some good plantains that were fried up.
Ooh. Always got to get back for dinner.
I was in Costa Rica.
The note is closed out from Dale from Down Under. It just says, stay unrelenting.
Woo.
And we will. And thank you.
Yeah. Dale, we got to get you up here one of these days. Because seriously, if you're over $1,000, we will totally buy you a steak dinner. But it's got to be at a restaurant of our choice.
Yeah, it's like, it cannot be in Sydney.
Hey, where is Dale from, by the way? Do you remember if he's Sydney, Melbourne?
I do not remember. Beyond from the Gold Australia. Coast, although something I saw the other day, there's only like 3 little areas in Australia where people live. So
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Otherwise, I mean, you never know. He could be like one of these guys out in the outback.
Could be
undercut. He could have one of these like underground bunkers.
He could be in Alice, although I highly doubt it.
You do not know. Do not know.
Mm-hmm.
But this next donation here. Now, this came from a joke that I made when Brian Janak, he sent in a donation not too long ago. That was the show number donation for Planet Rage, which is about the same amount of shows as this, and the show number donation for Grumpy Old Ben's, which is a little more than this, to whatever. And I made the joke. I'm like, well, I guess he likes every show I do, with a co-host except Gene.
No, of course.
And in the mailbox the other day, a show number donation for Unrelenting.
Wow.
$81.
That's a trend that we need to keep going.
I like the show number donation. People should be more like Brian Janak and go, hey, have you been listening to this podcast? 81 episodes.
Yeah.
Have you not shown any value back? Isn't
Honestly,
it time?
it is so damn cheap right now. I mean, look at shows like No Agenda. Try making a show donation to that.
$1,500, whatever.
We're a freaking bargain, man.
You get in now, you have that for the rest of your life. Like, I made a show number donation. You've only got
like 460 more shows to go before it gets unruly expensive.
He says he is soon to be a Sir Lab Rat, so he's close to getting his No Agenda props there. Getting his title.
He's short by 3 show donations.
Right. You'll get there. Just don't worry. And he says, haven't forgotten about you. Been going through some health problems. Also been a slow summer for Uber. Now, we appreciate that, Brian. But for anybody
Brian, if you move to Austin, I guarantee you the Uber tips from me alone will let you make more show donations.
Well, only if he brings you food.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
Like, you got to bring me my sushi. I'm very specific about it. You got to have it just right.
You got to drive up to the guy and pick up the sushi in the little package.
Is this drugs or sushi we're talking about?
Please, drugs. No, I'm talking about the expensive stuff.
Oh, the good stuff. Okay. The sushi. But for people, it's like, we understand. We push the donations, but we understand the Biden economy. So never donate money that you can't afford. I have a question.
Do you know right now what the U.S. prime rate is, which is a good indicator of where the government thinks the inflation is?
I don't know, but I know American Express again this morning is like, hey, the rates on our savings accounts are going up again. So
to like 2%.
No, something. They're like 5 or something. So
so the U.S. prime rate right now is 8.5.
Wow.
Now, it hung out at like under 3% for a damn long time. I think pretty much up until Biden got elected. But
and then went to war with the fossil fuel industry.
So 8.5% is what banks charge each other. So anybody that borrows money from banks is paying that plus whatever money the bank makes.
Right. Which is why these savings accounts are making like 5% because they're still making money.
Yeah, of course. But the important thing here is if you're not getting a minimum of 10% per year increase in wages, you're literally making less today than you were last year.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what they say the official inflation number is. Go to Shadow Stats and look up what inflation is using the original 1980s formula.
Or just look at your grocery bill.
Well, okay. Oh, perfect example. Good segue. So I always measure not just inflation, but just sort of buying power at the rate of how much per bag of groceries. So if I go to a grocery store, it doesn't matter whether if I have it delivered or if I go there myself, like what is the average price per bag? And it's pre-COVID, it was typically between 30 and 50, depending on the store I went to. And if I happened to have bought a tenderloin, it'd be more like 50. If I didn't, it'd be more like 30.
Well, don't forget the 5-pound tins of caviar.
Yeah, I wish. No, my sushi guy also handles caviar.
Oh, well, that's good. That's double bang for your buck.
Yeah. If you're not getting caviar wholesale, you're wasting money. So anyway,
there's a cold open for the decades. They're like, what kind of show is this?
It's a show run by 2 people that barely survive on minimum wages.
And then they talk about caviar wholesale.
Yes, wholesale. Well, you can't afford the retail now, can you?
No. And if you're not buying it in bulk, at least 20 pounds at a time, you're just not doing it right.
Pounds. Dude, you're smoking some kind of weird shit because that shit's way more expensive than that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Mm-hmm. This is basically an improv class. Don't you know that?
It's like you guys all realize nothing we talk about is real, right? It's all fake. All my stories are fake. All Darren's illnesses are fake. All his exercise bullshit is fake.
It all intertwines. And you're the one that sent me the clip of Gilbert Gottfried on the Hollywood Squares, right?
Oh yeah.
That was one of the funniest things I have seen.
Isn't that amazing?
In forever.
Yeah.
It's like, but it shows you how easily people are led down the path.
So explain to people what the clip is.
Well, when I don't think the show's still on, I would hope.
No, it's not.
The Hollywood Squares, they would get 9 celebrities. Well, it's like B-list celebrities.
B-listers, yeah.
In this case, Whoopi was there, Penn and Teller.
B-lister.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
And he was the last
B-lister.
square. So whoever gets Gilbert wins.
Yeah.
And they went through at least, 7 or 8 different questions where they guessed. Really, the only thing is...
So the players, there's 2 players, right?
Yeah.
And they take turns, just like in Tic-Tac-Toe. And the way the Tic-Tac-Toe works is you ask a celebrity, or rather, the celebrity is asked a question, and then they answer the question, and you have to either agree or disagree with them. If the answer was correct from them and you agreed with them, then you get your point. If the answer was incorrect by them and you agreed, then you don't. But if the answer was incorrect and you disagree with them, then you still get your point.
Right. So it's a 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
And it went on like 8 different times. Now, Gilbert was the one that started with, there was one, and he was so, I think it was something about a bikini, and it was, the question was so far off that.
Yeah, it was, the answer was bikini, but this is a bathing suit that was designed to be so outrageous that it was called the bomb.
And he's like, tube top. And the woman agrees, and immediately he's like, you fool.
Yeah. And Gilbert immediately yells at her, you fool. So he knows his answer is the wrong answer.
It's beautiful. And then when he had him that was right and they disagreed with him, and then it got so bad. I mean, my favorite was towards the end when Penn from Penn and Teller yelled with him, you fool.
Yeah.
The show was never going to end.
No. And they basically said, yeah, if nobody wins, we're just going to go take this down to the bar.
Yeah. Go out for drinks. That's what you should do.
Uh-huh.
But
it's alcohol jokes on primetime TV. Very funny.
Well, you can't do half this stuff anymore.
No, you can't do most of it. Yeah. No.
You can't.
Gilbert was really the king of the inappropriate, but yet incredibly funny humor.
Yes. And he was a really shy guy, I guess, otherwise, which is interesting.
Yeah, I saw his when he was on the Cribs. You know, they're showing off his apartment in New York and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that show called? Crib?
I think just Cribs.
Crib Life, Cribs.
I think just, if it was MTV, it was just Cribs, I think.
MTV Cribs. And then you look at it and it's like, really? And it's just like this very small, not at all impressive little apartment in New York. And he's got his small miniature wife there, and it's just
small miniature
and like cats.
Wife.
Yeah, well, she's I think Gilbert's like 5'5", and she was about 5 foot ish.
I suppose you need a much smaller apartment that way.
But it's like a guy that's been around forever, been in a bunch of shows, has done the Aflac commercials.
He was the Aflac commercial.
He's the Aflac duck. Yeah. And he's done a number of voice parts aside from his comedy, but he was really the king of roasts. Like he was on all the big roasts back in the day. And
you don't see any of those anymore. Do you notice that?
I know, right? He lived in this Cribs episode, kind of like I think what all these guys, including Joe Rogan and the other comedians, did when they were in New York in the first couple of years of their life, or in comedy. Like he seemingly, like, I wouldn't say he made it big, but he definitely was a nationally known comedian. But it looked like he was living like he's just trying to make it by on, the open night mics.
Well, there's a lot of people that once they hit the big time,
he didn't have a driver's license. He never got a driver's license.
I mean, why would you? You got people that can drive for you.
Weird thing. Yeah, people do stuff for you, but Do you not want to have a driver's license just in case your limo driver has a heart attack or something?
I mean, I guess you really need a license at that point.
Yeah. Well, you need to learn how to drive the damn car.
Well, really, I think most people, even if you don't have a license, understand how to drive a car.
I would beg to differ. A lot of people with licenses don't really understand.
According to Celebrity Net Worth, Gilbert passed away with a net worth of $8 million.
Not at all surprising. He probably spent like $80,000 a year.
He was frugal.
And like living in New York. He spent probably that much.
Because hell, if you're Gilbert and you walk into a place, you're probably getting some free drinks.
I don't believe he drank.
Well, interesting too then. You save a lot of money if you don't drink.
If you don't drink, right?
You're finding that out. It's been, a year now or so since you've had anything?
Oh, it's been way longer than that. We're pushing 2 years now.
And this is somebody that loves those good whiskeys.
Not only that, it's somebody that still has probably, like, without exaggerating, probably about $5,000 worth of really old bottles of impossible to get stuff sitting in this house.
Oh, well, no.
Maybe. No, I'm not saying anything.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying as well.
No. Gene's like, come on down.
Not happening.
Come on down and have a drink.
I probably should at some point figure out what to do with that stuff because
can't exactly sell it on eBay.
Well, not on eBay, but you can absolutely sell it. I mean, there's auctions happening all the time for rare collectible alcoholic beverages.
True. It's like the new baseball card.
I would say it's been the old baseball card since it was around before baseball, but sure.
Auction for booze.
Like wine cellar auctions have absolutely been around longer than baseball.
Now, how do you keep them at the proper temperature in a home?
I have 3 wine refrigerators.
3?
Yeah.
You couldn't have just bought one big one, or are they different temperatures for different types of wine?
They're different temperatures.
Nice. 3.
And I haven't opened any of the 3 in over, well, probably actually over 2 years.
Well, do you have sensors in there so that you make sure they're still running?
Yeah. No, they're also on backup and power.
Gene of 3 wine
UPSs
refrigerators.
My wine fridges.
You should really add that to your No Agenda social profile.
Should I?
Gene of 3 wine fridges. Sounds like an Indian name.
I mean, look, I don't drink though. That's the thing. It's even when I did drink, I really didn't drink much. So it's not hard. Like you look at people like Adam and Tina who are drinking like fish.
Yeah.
Like all the time, nonstop, just go. And not that it's a bad thing. It's a life choice. But, they're going through an awful lot of bottles of wine and some other things possibly. When you don't drink much, like you buy a really nice bottle of, I was always into port. So I still have a lot of vintage port. And you get that, and then you're like, okay, this is great. This will be ready to drink in 7 or 8 years. And what are you going to do? Of course, you got to put it into your wine fridge.
Right.
And then, you got to wait until the time is perfect to drink it, which is usually at about 30 to 37 years.
That's a long wait.
But you don't buy it the year it's released.
I know.
I mean, a lot of it isn't even released that year.
I mean, I only have 1 wine fridge.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you keep in there? Your socks?
Well, close. The wine from an ex-White Sox player is pretty much what's in there.
I was right.
Yeah. George Thomas Seaver. God rest his soul. And I'm glad because they're very limited release Cab Sav from California.
And he's known for his Cabernets.
Well, he passed away, but the wine, if you look them up online, it's GTS Vineyards that the bottles from previous years are selling for $300, $400, $600. So we're on the list. We're on the waiting list. That's the only way they sell them is direct.
Yeah.
And
wait, you were on the list to sell or buy?
To buy.
Oh.
So we buy. And it's usually we just started buying them
With you, it's usually the other.
I know. But this is mainly because my mom likes wine and this was an easy gift. And Tom Seaver was her favorite player. So it worked out. But now we started buying more. So now we have an overstock of the wine.
You're buying $600 bottles of wine. Yes, this is the podcast that you're donating to.
I buy them though at I think they're $125 when they come out, which isn't cheap for wine. No. That's damn sure, but they're not. I mean, if I can find somebody that wants to pay me $500 or $600 for the vintages that we still got, I'd be more than happy to move those. White Mike says if Taylor Swift starts making wine, Darren O is going to go broke.
Oh, he is going to go bankrupt. I guarantee you that.
Maybe I'd have to go work on her vineyard. That sounded dirtier than I meant it to. Or maybe
you
not.
Did not. You meant every bit of that.
I did. Oh, and we do have a boostergram from the one and only CSB, who I guess likes you again.
No. What do you say?
He has 10,015 Satoshis with the message and Privyet, which I'm assuming is a Russian word, like private.
It means hello, yes.
So Privyet, comrades. Please tell your oligarchs to visit www.csp.lol to browse my cartoons without spoons. Yo, CSP.
Okay, explain the spoons bit.
I've never heard of this. I don't know why. Why do you not?
Cartoons without spoons.
Does he not draw spoons? Is it just because it rhymes?
Maybe it was an AI that suggested he say it that way.
Ooh, browse the cartoons without spoons. He could be an AI.
Yeah. No, that's and he does have funny cartoons. I mean, he's got plenty of ones that I don't think are funny too. But if you go on there, he has quite a few that are actually very witty. And I will say it is not easy to be witty in a language that is not your native language.
Yeah, these subtleties are hard to pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. So maybe he needs some people to write the.
I thought he was going to send another Kuro Much.
He didn't do that this time.
He didn't. No,
I think because I was getting closer to saying it correctly. Kurva, Kurva Mach. I think it's like Mach, like match, but with
it's a ch sound.
Kurva Mach.
Mm-hmm.
See, then that's about the most Polish I know. All I remember growing up was like Shedny, I think, which is like sit down or something like that. Shedny, yeah, something like that.
Okay, that sounds vaguely like it might be.
And a White Mike came in with 3333, says Darren O makes me dance, my sats all over the floor. That was before when we were playing some played some Debbie Gibson before the show.
Yeah, that was awesome. And
taking you right back to the 80s.
It was the best decade ever.
You know,
looking back, of American civilization.
Looking back, the music was good, and the artists that, let's forget Milli Vanilli for a minute, and those were still real people singing. It just wasn't the people you thought were singing. But they still had people that were playing instruments.
Yeah.
That's the other very worrying thing now, because I was just reading.
Musicians don't play instruments.
Well, there's AIs now, and Google has one. There's others where it's like you can go and give it a little, little melody that you can, program in. You could just give it a little bit and be like, "We'll expand this into a full song," and it will. I mean, there's going to be. You don't have to play. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds cool. Actually, I have not played around with that one.
I haven't either, but just think about for like podcast themes and all this stuff and people.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that we know people that have the musical talent like John Fletcher,
but it's hard to get a hold of them.
You just have to ask. You have to ask nicely.
Okay.
But if you could just go in, you need something quick. You just go tell the AI, hey, I want something that sounds, like a hair band song from the 80s.
Okay.
Then it just makes it up. But even the bands that I was like back in the 80s, including Duran Duran was one of them, where I was like, well, it's just kind of a girl thing that, it's not really good. Yeah. I don't now listening to the music, it's like, wow, this was a lot more innovative than
it was so much better. Yeah. Yeah. Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, I ran so far away.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good track.
There are a multitude of good tracks. You know, what I do when I want to just kind of chill is I get in my virtual truck and I turn on the 80s station and I just start hauling cargo.
You start hauling ass.
Well, ass and cargo. Yes.
Now, Sir Bemrose
is so relaxing.
Hosted the great, fabulous Ryan Bemrose in the Troll Room, trollroom.io. When we do these shows live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Central, you should be there.
That's
Says,
right.
Gene is wrong. Elon agrees with me. Discuss, and it's a screenshot from X where Tesla owner Silicon Valley says, is there ever a reason to block versus mute someone? Give me your reasons. Elon answered, block is going to be deleted as a feature, except for direct messages. That's interesting. Elon's getting rid of the block
paying
feature
for it when that happens.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's big words.
It is. They might just run out of money.
You're like, but I don't understand why that you would take that feature away.
He's talked about it in the past. I definitely disagree with him on this count. It's the whole point of blocking is essentially saying, look, it is a privilege to be able to consume things that I produce.
Well, and as they move, because this is something that has changed, I believe, since Elon got there, you now have to be logged in to Twitter to read posts, where that used to be the big thing. Like, it doesn't really matter if you block somebody because all they have to do is log out and they'll see all your stuff anyway.
Right.
But now that you have to be logged in.
Point. I mean, this was the exact same thing I was explaining that I did with CSB when I blocked them for a year. And he's like, well, I can still go in and out and say, yeah, but that means you have to do effort.
Right. You have to work to see my post.
You have to work and nobody else has to work. Everybody else can just see it because you were a dick. So and I think that's a legitimate thing. And I've been a big proponent of the ban tag on podcasting. So you should be able to exclude people or even countries, for that matter, from being able to consume your podcast by
always understanding that there's going to be loopholes.
It's not about the loopholes.
It's about the work.
It's about the work. Yeah, exactly.
It's about showing. I mean, it's really just a big way to say fuck you without saying fuck you, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely fuck you.
Like, I blocked you.
There's no other way about it. But I think as the content, and this is a disagreement. We're disagreeing all over the place. Another disagreement with Bemrose, who doesn't believe in copyright.
Yes,
I do believe in copyright because I think intellectual property, like real property, is still property. So if I create something original, and it could be something as stupid as this podcast, it is still an original creation. And by creating it, I get to control it. And that means if I don't want you listening to it, then I should be able to prevent you from listening to it.
That's always been hard to do. I mean, you can't be...
Again, it's not doing it foolproof. I mean, there's a very easy way to do it, and that is just to not put out episodes.
Right, then nobody gets it.
And then nobody can hear it. But so the trade-off is, do you deny everybody the opportunity to hear something magical by wanting to block a single person from having any possible way of circumventing it? And to me, it's sufficient enough to make it more difficult for them.
Yes, which I get.
Again, it's a right that you have for anything that you create.
And I agree that there should be
computer source code or a podcast.
Well, I agree that there should be protection on that. The 5-year thing is way too short. That was the argument we had over on Grumpy Old Ben's way back when was, when you talk about this kind of stuff, if somebody writes a book and you hear this happens more than most people would think, somebody writes a book that languishes at nothing. And then 20 years later, somebody decides to make a major motion picture about it. And then it's like, you can't be like, well, you only get it for 2 years and then it's public domain.
I think that there is definitely abuse of the current system. Right. And Disney's been at the forefront of the abuse. And pushing to extend the copyrights longer and longer. I do think that Ryan and I probably would be closer together than further apart when it came to durations. I think for a lot of things,
it shouldn't be forever.
7 years is long enough.
Yes.
For a lot of things. There might be some types of things that you could argue would be much better served with a longer term, but for the majority of copyrights, like if even a book, right? If that book came out and the copyright for that 7 years should start upon first public publication, not the creation. That's the other difference, right? Is that it's not when you create the thing, it's the first time people have an opportunity to see it.
Right.
From that point on, start a clock, 7 years goes by, then I think it ought to be public domain thereafter.
Well, I mean, the interesting there comes in the cases, and there's been a lot of these. Most of them were slammed down where people get sued for songs that are like, well, no, this is copying off of my song. You know, even though my song was never released, somehow Taylor Swift heard it and that she made this song. And I can, and that's when they go back to the,
leave it to Darren to tie everything back to Taylor Swift.
Everything does go back to Taylor Swift. She is the whole U.S. economy at this point, I think.
I've heard that
the money that comes in for every city she goes into, they're saying now this tour, just the United States portion of this, might end up bringing in $2 billion, which is.
But you realize that means taking $2 billion into entertainment,
right,
from a country that is on the verge of collapse.
Oh yeah, and there
no
are people that are
tangible production.
There are people that are more than willing. I am not one of them. I did not go to any of the shows. I refuse to go out to shows where people are just holding up their phones and screaming. Not my bit. If history has taught me anything, every time Taylor Swift does a tour, once the tour is over, it's available on Blu-ray. So, I mean, if you really want to hear the music and you want to see the sets and everything, gonna be there. I don't like going out into concerts now, but there are people that are paying thousands of dollars for tickets. And it's like, oh, no big deal. It's like, that's a fucking crazy thing to do. I don't understand it. I mean, but there are literally people, I also don't understand that some of the vinyl records of hers are at $2,000.
Insane. The amount of money that people pay for for music
spaceships, right,
is absolutely crazy.
It is. But you have to, I guess, figure out where your expendable income is. And I think that's one thing this newer generation does.
Income?
Yes. Same thing, right? That people are willing to spend themselves into oblivion. They're like, I really want to go see Taylor Swift. I'll pay $10,000. And then a day after.
It's not like you're getting to banger for then 10 grand.
For that, I might go 10 grand.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
dude,
okay.
I don't even like her. I'd probably go for 10 grand.
Well, that's because you don't like her. That's why you're like, oh, I can see this. She is finally coming into her own. The more you see the photos and the videos from this tour, you always complain she didn't have an ass. She's been
working out. I will say this. She's definitely working out. Her ass has gotten bigger.
And I think she has to do the 3-hour shows night after night.
Yeah.
That is not easy work. I know a lot of people are like, no, you're just out there singing. It's like, no, the stage on this thing is when you go to a football stadium and the stage is almost the whole length of the field and you're covering it. Like, that's a lot of work. That's why a lot of these artists, like the Rolling Stones, they used to do that. Now they're like, Mick doesn't want to move beyond this 10-foot period. He's going to fall over.
Geriatric at this point. So,
yeah, it is. It's what you get. But they're still doing their thing and they're still making their money. So that's good. But Taylor Swift is saving the economy. I just don't get. I can only imagine
saving me,
especially. I think we talked about the phenomenon where people were having Taylor Swift amnesia, that they go to the concerts and then they were so hyped up that they don't remember the concert like the next day. And
oh my God.
And I'm like, can you imagine? You're like, I paid $10,000 to go see a show. How depressing would that be?
Well, okay. I will say there are certain things that you might pay that kind of money for that you kind of expect not to remember.
Like really good drugs?
It usually starts with this one time in Vegas.
Right.
And then I have no idea. All I know is I'm $10,000 poorer.
And you don't remember how?
Hell no.
30 days later, when you go for your checkup, you find out you got gonorrhea and you're like, holy shit.
Is that what happened?
That's what I heard.
Is that what you heard? Okay.
It's just a thing. This is not even a real podcast.
That's true. It is a fake podcast. Fake podcast.
This is your way to get some improv, folks. And really, we didn't really wrap up the donation segment. So if you'd like to donate to the show, Gene says don't, but you can. I've heard now that his other co-host
prove me wrong.
Refused to pay him. So I may start just refusing to pay him. So that's and then that'll be some good content as well. But you can go over to unrelenting.show. And thanks to Dale from Down Under. Thanks to Brian Janak.
Yeah,
and
guys,
of course,
thanks to everybody.
A White Mike and CSB. You should listen to that other show Gene does too, now that he stopped doing Sir Gene Speaks, that good old boy show.
Yeah, the good old boys.
You can tune into them, and that's always scintillating conversation, but not quite as scintillating.
It's a little more political focused too.
Where Unrelenting is things you need for your daily life.
There are no other shows like this show.
White Mike says, Gene scintillates.
Okay.